Alright, first I want to say Kol Halayim, all glory, honor, and praise is due to Yahweh, which is the true name of the Heavenly Father, who the world annually calls God, Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, the true name of the only begotten Son, who the world annually calls Jesus Christ, Bahashem, in the name, Rakah Kadash, which is the Holy Spirit. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who teach it well, and I want to say peace and salutations to the whole elect enduring the shoot. So on September 26th, Starmer says people will not be able to work in the UK without digital ID. So this is just the precursor before the mark of the beast. This is not the mark of the beast, but they're setting up the system to implement the mark of the beast, which is the RFID micro C-HIP. And this is happening in the UK. This will soon happen in Babylon the Great, America. Karl Starmer confirms plans for a new digital ID scheme aimed at tackling illegal working. Here's what we know and don't know so far. The Parliament says people will not be able to work in the UK without a digital ID, and the plans will make the country's border more secure. So we know this is a lie, that it's not really the reason. Tackling illegal working is not really the reason. They're just using that as a decoy so they could implement the mark of the beast RFID micro C to bring in a new world order and have full control of the whole earth, the top wicked elites, Esau, Edom, the so-called white men, the small hatters, the banking families, the Rothschilds and Oppenheimers, the banking families as well.
You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. Our immigration system does need to be fair if we want to maintain that binding contract that our politics is built on. And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
What is a digital ID? My name is Darren Jones. I'm the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. Let me explain. A digital ID is an ID on your phone that just proves you are who you are. And when you apply for any new job in the UK already, you have to prove that you have the right to work here. With a digital right to work check, you can do it with your phone, as opposed to having to rummage around for a passport or a utility bill which your employer has to photocopy. It's free, it's not going to cost you anything, it makes life easier for you. Lots of other countries use government digital ID. Australia or Denmark or Estonia, other places in Europe, as it means that we can hone in on those dodgy employers employing people illegally much more effectively, so that for the rest of us that get up every morning and go to work legally, we know that we're all doing the right thing and the system works well.
My nan wouldn't know how to use it. Yeah, what's she going to do?
I live in Germany and we all have ID cards. I think that's a very good idea, that you have something that you can produce at any time as proof of identity.
Phones stop working and things go wrong with them, so it's not always going to be accessible.
Most of our data is pretty much leaked anyway.
I think it's a massive danger to have all of that information stored in one place, because you never know what's going to happen, because cybersecurity is going horribly. There's people doing cyber hacking, all of it. It's not safe. I think the idea of an online ID is just, it's beyond reason.
I was just in, a supermarket right now, and I used my card for that particular supermarket to get a discount on some cookies. So I think they've got as much data as we're just giving away our data.
How would people who are homeless or unhoused be affected if they don't have access to a smartphone or they don't have access to consistent internet? Would they be put at risk because they don't have access to this card?
So I think it's a real infringement on people's rights, especially with what's been going on with the new laws surrounding being online and that you have to submit your ID card.
So Britain just made digital IDs mandatory. If you think that's only about immigration, you're not paying attention. Allegedly, here's how it works. No digital ID, no job. Once that system's in place, it won't be just the jobs. It's services, travel, healthcare, even taxes. Everything tied to a single pass on your phone. Convenient? Maybe. Controllable? Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the part that nobody's talking about. The US is already laying the groundwork too. State-level pilots, airport testing, frameworks that are quietly being put in place at the federal level. Britain flips the switch now, and Washington's watching how people react. Everyone says it's about immigration. Could this just be the cover story? Is the real play normalizing a system where access to your entire life can be restricted or cut off with a single decision from someone you'll never meet? Britain's the test run. US is next. When your paycheck, your doctor's visit, even your ability to travel can be switched on and off, like a light switch. The question isn't if, I guess it's whether we'll even see it coming.
What do you say on a day like this, on an eve like this, when Starmer's going to introduce this tomorrow?
I honestly think we've got them, Bev. I feel uncharacteristically optimistic about it. I've been, desperately furious about the concept of a digital ID card for a long time, and I've been anxious about the possibility of somebody actually daring to bring one forward. But here it is, and I genuinely think that there's enough awareness, more than enough awareness out there in the general population, a sense that there's going to be mass refusal, mass non-compliance. I think this government has rolled the dice, with instructions from on high. I believe the likes of Keir Starmer and his ilk are just factotums. They've had to roll the dice on this, and it's going to be a disaster for them, and will probably conceivably be what brings them down.
We're going to be, just in a moment, I'm going to talk to Peter Edwards, who's in the studio in London, who doesn't have such a strong opinion on the negatives of this as you might do, and myself as well. So just explain to the absolute layman, because these conversations are going to have to take place now, why this is problematic. And if you can, Neil, do it like in terms of the real practicalities rather than the ideology of it.
It's the way in which it brings everything together. Everything together, all of the information about us, everything from health, everything about your finances, everything, anything that you can think of that's out there in the digital sphere is brought together by this kind of platform. And everything can be used in real time to make judgments about you, about what you propose to do. It can reference things that you've said in the past, done in the past. It can use anything at all that's on your record. It can relate to protests maybe that you've attended, to things that you've said, to posts that you've made on social media, to your financial status. And in real time, decisions can be made about whether or not you get permission to do whatever it is that you want to do next. Put fuel in your car, buy a plane ticket, buy a steak in a supermarket, buy a bottle of wine, whatever it is that you want to do, a decision can be made in advance. Because what is happening here with digital ID is effectively you are being replaced with an avatar of yourself. If you imagine one of those little pieces that you move about on a Monopoly board that sort of represents you on the board, well, they have you in that digital ID, and they can decide whether or not you get to move on the board. And your hands are effectively tied behind your back. Anybody that submits to this, anybody that accepts a digital ID is slapping handcuffs around their own wrists. It's the end of freedom, it's the end of choice, it's the worst possible decision that any freedom-loving person could possibly make. But as I say, I was pessimistic about it for a while, I'm not anymore. We've got them on this. We have them surrounded. Their arguments don't stack up. None of the reasons that they've put forward for doing this make any kind of sense. The very idea that this is going to tackle the people arriving by boats on the shores of the British Isles is absolute nonsense. It was never supposed to do that. The appetite, the desire to bring forward the digital ID was there years ago. And it was understood by the people that wanted to bring it forward that the British people would not accept it. So problems had to be fomented to make people desperate to accept this as a solution. Hence the opening up of the borders and the mass immigration onto these shores that has stoked division, has stoked fear, and the hope has been that people would accept the digital ID as this solution to the problem. But it's entirely bogus. Yeah. All people have to do is not comply, and this thing falls flat on its face. And I am
Also, Akim and Akwat. Pray for the brothers in the UK. Pray for the Akim and the Akwat in the UK that are, there right now going through this, because eventually it's going to hit us as well in Babylon the Great America and everywhere around the world. This is Job 9, verse 24. The earth is given in the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And we know that's Esau, Edom, the so-called white men, the Amalekites in Israel. The small hatters. Well, starting with Benjamin Netanyahu and all his, associates with the top wicked elites, banking families. They're trying to push out the mark, and we're here. They're starting to lay the groundwork so they can set the system up to actually implement the RFID micro chip. And I'll get into that in the next precepts. All right, this is the RFID micro chip. This is the mark of the beast. This right here. They haven't implemented this yet. This is doing the groundwork. So, this digital ID system is just a precursor before the mark of the beast actually gets implemented. It's a small microchip that they want to implant in your right hand or in your forehead or anywhere in your body. And if you take this, Yahweh Bashem Rashai will utterly destroy you in the lake of fire. This is Revelation 13:16. And he caused it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So, we're going to what mark means in the Blue Letter Bible.
Strong's G 5480, Charagma. Charagma.
So mark means charagma. So this is just a precursor. They're setting up the system to implement the actual mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, because it's a physical thing. Because without it, you can't buy or sell. As Revelation 13:16-18 says, a stamp, an imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the anti-Hamashiach. Then carved sculpture, graven work of idolatrous images. And so we're gonna go into shy stigma.
Strong's G 5516. Chai, Ksai, Stigma. Chai, Ksai, Stigma.
And then we go to the actual word stigma.
Strong's G 4742. Stigma. Stigma.
And this is what it says. A mark pricked or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belonged to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the tokens of their gods. So the mark of the beast is a physical thing. It's a physical RFID micro C-hip that they want to implant in your hand or your forehead or anywhere in your body. Right now, what they're pushing out in the UK, that's not the mark of the beast. It's just a system. Because we read it again, starting at 16. It didn't cause it all, both small, great, rich, and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So, it doesn't matter if you're famous or a nobody, or if you're rich or you're poor. If you don't take the RFID micro C-hip, you won't be able to buy, sell, or do anything, or go to school, or do anything. You'll be ostracized from society. You won't be able to participate in society. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So you won't be able to buy or sell without the RFID micro C-hip. This is Revelation 14, starting at verse 9. This is the judgment if you take the MOTB RFID micro C-hip. Verse 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of power, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever received the mark of his name. So if you take that MOTB, RFID micro C-hip, in your right hand, forehead, or anywhere in your body, you're going to go into the lake of fire, which is when America is destroyed in the Third World War, because everyone around the world is going to shoot their missiles at America. America will fill 200 million ICBM intercontinental ballistic missiles. And you'll have to feel that if you take this mark of the beast RFID micro C-hip anywhere in your body. This is Job 9, verse 24. The earth is given in the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And we know that's Esau, Edom, the so-called white men, the Amalekites in Israel, the small hatters. Well, starting with Benjamin Netanyahu and all his, associates with the top wicked elites, banking families. They're trying to push out the mark, and we're here. They're starting to lay the groundwork so they can set the system up to actually implement the RFID micro C-hip. And I'll get into that in the next precepts. Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. And that's what these top elites and small hatters, Esau, Edom, so-called white men at the top elites, and the small hatters are doing. They're prescribing wickedness. And it's grievous to the average person, because they're being forced to do something that they probably do not want to do, because if you can't work, you won't be able to eat, won't be able to do nothing. So now is the time to lock into Yahweh Shem Al-Shad more than ever, because, they're setting it up quick. It's coming quickly. And we're going to start at Ezekiel 12, starting at verse 21. And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Israel, saying the days are prolonged, and every vision faileth? Tell them therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel. But say unto them, the days are at hand, and the effect of every vision. For there shall be no more any vain vision, nor flattering divination within the house of Israel. For I am the Lord Yahweh, I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. It shall be no more prolonged. For in your days, O rebellious house, will I say the word, and will perform it, saith the Lord power Yahweh. And again the word of the Lord Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, behold, they of the house of Israel say, the vision that he see is for many days to come, and he prophesied of times that are far off. And yeah, that's what the 2/3 are saying of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Israelites scattered abroad that may look like the heathen nations, but on the outside, but your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 2/3 are saying that, oh, it's not going to happen in my lifetime. Now Yahweh Hashem Ashai says different, that it will happen in your lifetime, especially when you see all these signs. And this is a big sign that they're setting up a digital ID system. It's not the mark of the beast, but they're setting up the digital ID system to put out the MOTB, RFID micro C-hip. So this is a very big sign. Verse 27, Son of man, behold, they of the house of Israel say, oh, Salakia. Verse 28, therefore say unto them, thus saith Lord power Yahweh, there shall none of my words be prolonged any more, but the word which I have spoken shall be done, saith the Lord power Yahweh. So Yahweh Hashem Shai, he's not going to slow it down anymore. He's going to speed it up and turn it up. It's about to get crazy. It's about to get hectic. So you got to build up your spirit, build up your faith, and, be ready to be tested by Yahweh Hashem Shai in the times of Jacob's trouble. And, step out on faith in the times of Jacob's trouble. All right, with that, I want to say, Kol Halayim, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who teach them real well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, who are enduring in their shoot, keeping the faith. And I pray that, Lord willingly, that was an edifying lesson. And with that, I want to say shalom.